Hello everybody, welcome to the Mild Rumpus, coming at you live from the House of Flimsy, my dilapidated one-bedroom apartment that is filled with books and noise. Today I'm going to tell you about some books I picked up during a recent trip to Texas. Yeehaw! Hey, so this should be a really short video. I went to Texas for a few days to visit my folks, and while I was there, I had to get the battery exchanged in my phone, and there was, an Apple store in the mall, so we went to the mall, and it took about 2 hours to get that done, and there was a Barnes & Noble there, so I hung out at Barnes & Noble for like 2 hours, and believe it or not, I did not buy a single book. I do have a whole list of books that I want to buy, but I didn't pick up anything there because I knew that we would be going to half-price books and some thrift stores later on, and I was like, you know what? I can always go to Barnes & Noble here in New York, and I'm glad I did because I found some really interesting old books. If you're into like the hot new releases, this is not the video for you. I'm just giving you fair warning. But I did find some really cool releases of some classic books. So first up, we did hit half-price books. And this time I actually remembered to take some video footage of other things besides my sizzling fajita meat. So here's just a few shots of the half-price books that I went to. And there I found a whole bunch of really beautiful editions from the Franklin Library and Easton Press. I was really excited to find the signed edition of Presumed Innocent, as well as a book that Larry King wrote in the 90s. I don't know anything about that. There was another signed edition of a book called Blown Away about the Rolling Stones in the end of the 60s. That one sounded interesting, so I picked that one up as well. And then I also found a limited edition of Ulysses by James Joyce, which was one of 3 copies of that book that I picked up during this trip. The first one being from 1946. This was released through Random House. I found this at half price, and I also found the 1961 edition, which was released through the Modern Library series. This is the complete novel. There's no excuse for me not to read this book very, very soon, considering now that I have 3 copies of it. Also at half price, I found a second edition of Raise High the Roof Beams Carpenters and Seymour, an Introduction by J.D. Salinger. I originally passed this up, but later in the trip, I visited a thrift store and found Franny and Zoey, an early printing, this is a 4th print, at another thrift store. And so I was like, you know what? If I went back and got that copy, I would have 4 J.D. Salinger hardcovers. And I would love to get all of his books in hardcover. So I went back and picked it up. And at the same thrift store, I found a first edition, first print of Prozac Nation, which is a memoir I've been wanting to read for a while now. Perfect timing, considering that it's April. So that came home with me for sure. And then the only other book that I picked up on this trip was a childhood favorite of mine, which was Runaway Ralph. It's the sequel to The Mouse and the Motorcycle. I remember reading those books as a kid, watching the made-for-TV movie adaptations. You used to be able to order the videotapes, I think, through the Scholastic Book Club, and I had both of them and watched them nonstop as a kid. So I was happy to find that book. And then, believe it or not, just to put a bookend on this video, on the last day of my trip, right as I'm about to leave, I take out my phone to take a picture, and I drop the phone and I bust the screen. So of course, the first thing I have to do when I get back to New York is make another appointment at another Apple store to get the screen replaced. I guess the silver lining is, for all practical purposes, I have a brand new phone, but that was not, on the agenda. Look for a new video in the next week or so. I'll be telling you about all the books I read during the month of April. Be sure to let me know what you're reading. Feed the algorithm, feed the algorithm. And stay hydrated, stay safe, and happy reading. Bye.